Hey everyone, so day 25 of my 30 days ideas challenge. So here we are just after 8 o'clock and I realized I hadn't jumped in yet. So I wanted to just share something that's kind of been really, highlighted and emphasized and in my face recently. And this can look like even just, popping on Facebook and all of a sudden I see various posts about pleasure. Or, I'm looking at something on YouTube and it's something around pleasure comes up, or a song and there's words around pleasure. And it's one of those things, and I thought, and the question was posed, are you connected to your pleasure? And I don't necessarily mean anything sexual here at all. I mean, it can be part of that, but I just mean more, in terms of, are you connected to what brings you pleasure? What lights you up? What makes you feel good? What brings you joy? And, it's interesting because for a long time I felt like I was disconnected from things that gave me pleasure. So how a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of us are in this boat, but a lot of us get caught up in the day-to-day, the autopilot mode. And this can look like just, throwing yourselves into work or for study or, family and everything else. So you almost kind of like delay it or put it off because it's almost secondary. It's almost something that, it's just a luxury. So we kind of almost, turn down our pleasure dial, if that makes sense. And it's one of those things I think, well, why is that so? And as I said, I think it is because a lot of us do just kind of think we've got other priorities and we haven't made that a priority. But I think for a lot of us, we are so disconnected because, we're disconnected from our body in a lot of ways. Like we're so used to logically analyzing, making sense cerebrally of things. Or, as I've said in other live streams, we go outside of ourselves to get information and answers and sources and solutions and everything else from other people. And by all means, there's a time and a place, but you've always got to run it by your filter and see and have that discernment, is that right for me? And so I think with all of that, as I said, we're not really dropping into the body and, really just kind of getting in touch with, well, what is it that does bring me pleasure? And, whether it could even look like something like just going for a walk in nature, walking on the grass, lying on the grass. Maybe it's just, buying yourself flowers. Like I've been buying myself flowers more often lately because, it brings me joy. It brings me pleasure when I see them. It's like, you look at them and I mean the details and the color and sometimes the scent and, it really does bring me joy. And same with I do like massages because I do tend to hold a lot of tension in my neck and my shoulders and areas like that. And I do have a lot of magnesium and things like that. But it's like that brings me pleasure. Having a bath brings me pleasure. Even just reading like a little, chick lit fiction book, brings me pleasure. And it's interesting, there's these moon macadamias. I don't know if you've ever tried them, but you can get them at Source Bulk Foods and you can get them from Scoop and different places like that. And they're made in Australia and they've got, like honey and it's a macadamia nut. And it's got this kind of chocolatey mix around it. And they are so decadent. And it's funny, I had one earlier. I just really felt like one. And I allowed myself to kind of really savor it and just enjoy the pleasure of eating it. Because quite often the thing with it is we're not present. And a lot of this does come back to that. It's just like being present in the body, engaging the senses. What can I smell? What can I feel? What can I see? What can I taste? All of that. And, for a lot of us, I think there is kind of connotations and associations and, with pleasure. And sometimes there is, conditioning around it. There's limiting beliefs. There can be traumas. There can be, religious coding around it. Maybe when we were a child, when we felt like we were, having pleasure and having fun and having joy, we got in trouble. So, we've kind of associated on some level that, well, I'm not worthy of pleasure. So, sometimes it's even just looking at it from that point of view and actually just kind of looking into it. Well, why is there issues with me and pleasure? Like, why am I disconnected from it? Why am I kind of detached? Why am I delaying it? Why am I putting it off? And just, going into Avril High and going into, as I said, that autopilot mode. So that's what I would say. That's the first thing. It's really, just kind of asking yourself that question. Am I connected to my pleasure? Like, what brings me joy? What lights me up? And then, as I said, maybe looking into the reasons, and if you honestly, hand on heart, feel it's yes, great. That's fantastic. And are you allowing yourselves to, to live from that point? Are you allowing yourself to feel and bring that pleasure in each day? So as I said, whether it's if it brings you joy and really lights you up to have fresh flowers, are you buying fresh flowers regularly? If you really love, going and having, a beautiful walk with your partner in a rainforest or whatever, are you doing that? It's like, it's all well and good to say, yeah, I know what lights me up, I know what brings me pleasure, but are you doing it? So, and then as I said, like, if it's no, I'm disconnected from my pleasure, I would really kind of look into, and maybe it is something worth pondering or journaling, well, why do you think that is? Is it because there is, as I said, like, religious coding around it? Is there kind of trauma? Is there guilt? Is there fears? Is there, some sort of, I could even be, that from your childhood, that there was issues, as I said, where maybe you got in trouble or punished if you were, showing too much excitement and pleasure and joy. I know that sounds funny, but for a lot of us, that was the case. So, we learn to kind of, okay, just put it off. It's not important. It's not a priority. Or we kind of do the future living where it's like, well, when I get all of this stuff done, then I'll be able to really enjoy myself and be in my pleasure. So, really, it's one of those things just to really kind of unpack that and have a little look at, are you in touch with it? And then, as I said, are you actually bringing it into your day to day? Are you kind of leading from that point? And as I said, if it is like flowers, for instance, get yourself beautiful flowers. You don't have to get it from someone else. You can, go and buy them yourself. As I said, I often get them from the farmers markets, or it could be a florist, it could even be Woolworths. I mean, I just like having fresh flowers around, and for a long time I didn't. And, for a long time it was almost like, oh no, I can't justify that, So it was almost like I denied myself things. And, I think a lot of us are in that kind of, we deny ourselves, things that do bring us pleasure, because we don't think it's a necessity, or we think that, we've got other things to focus on or worry about or whatever it might be. So it's just, as I said, some things to think about, because as I said, it's been so highlighted, so in my face the last few weeks, that it was really something I just thought I'm really going to have to drop into this and kind of see, well, am I living from this kind of point of view? And no, I haven't really, in a lot of ways, even though I do have more time and more space and, than I probably ever have in my life. I mean, for many, many years, I was work, study and commuting and all the things. So, when I have sort of slowed down, it's like, well, am I bringing more pleasure in each day? So, and then is it, if you actually do go and buy it, then do you feel guilt and things around that? So, there's kind of a lot to really, as I said, look at when it comes to pleasure. And then, as I said, there is associations and connotations like with just sex, and then, going down that kind of avenue, then people start to, there's all sorts of taboo and, coding around that as well. So anyway, that is my challenge to you, is to really just drop in and see, are you connected to your pleasure? Then actually just think of the ways that, what bring you pleasure, and then actually do it. Embody it, bring it into your day to day, and be present with it. As I said, the more that you can be present with it and slow down, you're going to, first of all, be more in touch with it, but you're going to enjoy it and be part of the process. So anyway, it's only a quick one, and I will see you tomorrow for day 26. So not long to go now. So as I said, I like to kind of mix it up each day and talk about different things, but this was something that I really wanted to touch on. As I said, it's something that I'm moving through at the moment and really kind of dropping into the body as someone who is an air sign and has been in my head most of my life. And, it's nice to just drop in and just kind of allow myself to just have these pleasures and be in pleasure mode more and more. So anyway, on that note, see you tomorrow. Night.